is what happened? Oh, did I do that?
No,
are we good?
Don't worry about it. Nick's doing that.
So of the victimhood thing. Oh fuck! That just threw me off. Somebody else take it.
It's all right.
No, okay. So I was gonna say I've got a legit question. I was talking to my wife about this last night, and it's kind of what I want to lean into the next hour of what I want to talk about. This goes into kind of the whole thing with the Venezuela strike. Follow me. Is like I don't understand. Like these people got into power by being, fascists. So I don't understand why they're concerned about being called fascists. I mean this in the most I really, it breaks my brain, and I'm also like trying to get myself in their head
because justice
don't like the word.
Because justice social.
Like
because here, I'll tell you. Connotation versus
they don't like the word Nazi.
Connotation versus denotation, right? Socialism and communism, we know they're not the same thing, but to most of Americans, they are the same thing. Just as fascism and Nazism is the same thing to them as well, and that's actually more the case.
Jeff says no.
I want to actually have a different opinion on that.
You don't think so?
I think that like they like playing around. They're being edgy, and they like dancing around the words like fascist, Nazi, all this other stuff. Yeah. But when it actually starts getting real, when it starts getting in their face, they're just like they don't want the smoke. You know,
but why? Okay, that's fucking smoke.
But
that's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying, though.
They're not actually about it. They're not
with the Venezuela shit. Like, why do they care? It's like, why is Pete Hegseth? And this is a real question. This isn't like it's breaking my brain. It's like, oh, they're like, oh, you ordered this strike. Oh, they're calling you a fascist. Oh, Trump's poll numbers are in the 20s. Yeah, I ran on being a god king. I ran on being a piece of shit. Why do I care?
Because they're pussies.
They don't think they're in a cult.
Yeah,
they don't think they're in a cult. They don't. They're no. See, this is the best thing. One of the most important lessons I learned about storytelling in film school is the bad guy doesn't think he's the bad guy. The bad guy thinks he's the good guy. These people are sociopaths.
They think America's been waiting for them to get into power to let everyone go, oh, we're free now. We don't have to pretend to care about gay people or black people and tiptoe around words and say that OJ was innocent when we all knew he was guilty. It's that Ann Coulter fucking white anger, that white resentment of like having to like cater to these people. Why the fuck are you in my fucking restaurant? Why are you even in my town? Why do I have to see you? Why do I have to be aware that you exist? That's why, again, like Katie Miller's whole thing was you've had Jennifer Welsh on your show calling my husband a Nazi, and I'm equating that to Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes normalizing Nazism and fascism to the country, because to me they're the same thing. And Jennifer Welch had a nice response to this, I think.
Real quick, I really love that super last point before you get to the response. I also love that they're like, hey, we need to invade the city of New Orleans now with the National Guard and kidnap people and black bag 5,000 people or some kind of stuff like they're saying. But also, oh no, somebody was a meanie bobini to me online.
That's just so weird to me. I'm really it's like watching. I'm trying to think of a movie with a really good villain. It's like watching Star Wars or something, and then Anakin Skywalker in Episode 4 is like boohoo crying about like, oh, they don't like me on Coruscant or Alderaan or whatever.
Kylo Ren. No. That's Kylo Ren.
What do we? Yeah. No, it is. And I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? But you know what? To his credit, and I mean this in the dark. I've said this before. Like, Trump is the best, most honest American president, where he will sit there and call Somalians like, oh, you're subhuman. You all need to be at a minimum. Get out. And I'm like, like that makes sense to me, because I'm like, oh, this is what America always is. Yeah. So I guess is what you guys are saying is these people are still stuck in like neoliberalism to where they think like,
and
they
Trump
think,
is
like,
that way too. Trump is new money, and old money doesn't respect new money. It's like, you're a fucking gauche. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not going to let you, you might technically be able to be in this country club, but we
You
don't
got gold
have to sit
toilets
down
in
at the
Trump
table
Tower.
with you. Yeah, exactly.
Let's wrap Alex and let them have their time. But one thing I do remember what I was going to say earlier.
Get out of here.
The rhetoric that you're going to hear from the right, the narcissistic victimhood I was alluding to at the end of my episode, is going to show up with like when you do call them fascists and when you do call them Nazis, they're going to be like, you're being really dangerous with what you're calling.
Yeah.
That's
Your rhetoric is you're really dialing it up. You're really
because they know people want
words are violent all of a sudden.
People want to smoke fascists, man. Fascists are the bad guys. They've been the bad guys. Do you want to react to this video before we leave?
Yeah.
Jennifer Welch's response to Katie Miller, I just thought was fantastic.
For the permanent record, I want to say it again. Yes, I think Stephen Miller is a hateful white nationalist with Nazi ambitions.
Oh, no!
And I want to make sure I'm crystal clear about that. And I don't think that alone. Millions and millions and millions of Americans do. And Katie Miller, when you go to bed at night, I mean, and you tuck your kids in, at some point, your kids are going to know, oh, our parents are racist. Our parents don't give a shit about certain people. At some point, your lack of empathy, when you love on your kids, if you can't transfer that empathy to other people because they look differently than you, or their origins are from a different country than you, and you can't transfer that, that's a level of psychopathy and sociopathy that I don't know can be treated other than being in a padded cell in a straitjacket, because that's how insane and cruel and mean I believe you and your husband are.
I mean, I think that's a perfect response there. By the way,
the E word, dude, evil.
They remind me of Diamond and Silk.
I
Remember
get
Diamond
that.
and Silk?
Yeah, no. 100%.
They're like the opposite.
But you know what about them is like, I'm not a fan of their content just because I'm a leftist. And that doesn't mean like, it's like saying I'm not a fan of, I play video games. I'm not a fan of Stardew Valley just because it's not my thing. But I understand why people enjoy it.
Of course.
But what they're doing is they're doing things like the 100% right way, like the way as a leftist I want, to where they're like, okay, the audience that we're bringing in, some of them are going to be stuck in like the neoliberal spinning their wheels and they're going to be here. But the rest of y'all, we're kicking you up to Hassan.
Yeah.
And then Hassan will kick you up even further.
That's what I was
like, that's
exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. And we'll close here. But she's evolved a lot. First of all, she's come a long way since I started watching her about a year ago. And she's only getting more progressive. And I think she represents the transition. She's like the personification of the transition that needs to happen. It's kind of what you were just saying, Lumen, but I just thought I'd say it my way too.
Yeah,
the wine moms out there with swords and fucking Palestine flags, like it's happening. People, you can tell, you can command people to believe that the economy's okay because the stock market's okay and whatnot. But if they can't afford their fucking groceries, if they can't afford their day-to-days, they're going to be looking for a different answer, and it's going to come from
And I do think to Steel Man, what you guys were talking about when I, had my question about like what are they so concerned about? I think, it does do these fascists, these like low rent fascists, some kind of psychic damage to see two women who look like they know their way around a Hobby Lobby, like telling you you're a bad person.
Yes.
It does some kind of damage.
Irreplaceable ethos, fantastic ethos. When a woman gets up in a bully's face, what's the bully going to do? Hit her?
Yeah,
I mean, come on. No, he's got to sit there and fucking take it.
You like sniz. I don't know if we talked about it, but if anybody's talked about that. But yeah, it's like you've lost all control here when somebody's just laid out the facts to you and like, what are you going to do? Yell at her? Like, what are you going to do? Put your hands on her? Like, there's nothing you can do. You have no power here. And
no, you're going to Katie Miller yell at her back, and you're going to look like a crazy bitch.
Well, thanks for the overlap, guys.
Thank you for the overlap.
Pumps looks like she can scrap, though. I don't know.
Pumps is tough, dude. Pumps is a tough one. She's a lawyer. She's mean. Thanks for the overlap, fellas. And I just want to remind my audience and everybody else listening to, if you haven't already, consider joining your local DSA. And remember from my show that you don't get change in America by asking nicely. Thanks for watching.
Absolutely. And folks, next week on my show on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, y'all are welcome. If you play video games and you're a host on this space, you're welcome. We're going to be talking about the upcoming Game Awards on Thursday and what we're hoping to win, our favorite games, just in general gaming.
Brother, I no longer play video games. I play the video game, which is Arc Raiders. If you're not playing that, you are wrong.
All right.
Take care, Alex. And check out Alex's episode with us on GMC a couple weeks
Yeah,
ago.
that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. All right, brother. Talk to you later.
Take.
All right. What is up, Robert? How you
we're just
doing?
going right in. Cool.
Right into it.
I thought we were going to get produced into a thing. Okay, great. Pinkerbell in the chat. If you're still around, I want to let you know that I actually really enjoy Stardew Valley. It's like one of my desert island games. It's on my Mount Rushmore of games.
Example.
I just couldn't think of something else that like I knew of that was very niche. I spent $70 a ticket and went to the Stardew Valley like orchestral seasons thing. Like I did that. My friend, she just hit perfection. I don't play it as much. I have it on my computer and I have it on my phone, and I transfer the saves back and forth. But I just don't. There's no problem with Stardew Valley. I just want to get that out. There's no. It's almost perfect. It's like it's what do they say? It's an inch wide and it's like a Marianas Trench deep.
Miles and miles deep. Yeah.
It's not a problem. Just the kind of video games I like have a fear of loss. I need to be feeling like I'm gambling almost. And I don't mean I don't mean gambling in the way of like microtransactions. I mean like, okay, I play action RPGs like Diablo. I can only play them hardcore because it's like the idea that I can have hundreds of hours of progress and lose it in seconds. It does something to me and it makes me like feel alive. That's
Diablo has poisoned your brain, big dog.
What up? Man, I haven't recorded in like well, I didn't record last week because like the holidays are kicking my ass. Like from everything down to ice, like ice is like you said, ice is here in New Orleans. How it's affected me. Yeah, my wife yelled at them today and called them Nazis. Saw them in City Park. They fucked up my car, and what I mean by that is the guys who fix my car, who only take cash or Zelle payments. They can't do it. They've literally had to like move their whole shop because they're afraid of getting arrested. So it's fucked me up. It's fucked, that's here nor there.
They're closing restaurants. They're closing.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And people, the dumbest people at my work are like, what the fuck? I can't go to fucking boo boo boo. I'm like, you voted for that, you fucking idiot, you fucking monster. What did I tell you? I literally had this with a guy at work. I go, what did I tell you? I said, it's almost like this country is always run by the most marginalized, slave labor or near slave conditions we can possibly get, and now you can't get a burrito, and now you feel so. It's almost like I was telling you this a year ago, and you didn't want to hear it.
It's suicidal, like economically speaking, too, even from like a liberal standpoint, from the perspective of, oh wow, we are actually we're run on slave labor or run on low wage labor, whatever. And you know what we're gonna do now? We're gonna actually get rid of those people that do all of the work around here, and we're just going to collapse our own society. Like that's the decision that's being made.
That's the thing. I didn't see how short-sighted they were. Like when I say they, I mean like, why hasn't Capital stepped in and be like, Donnie, you can't do this?
They blew it. Capital has deeply discredited itself. The liberals have fallen. The center will not hold. Right. And right now we're literally stepping up into a socialism or barbarism situation. And as we saw last night, I guess in Tennessee, elections ain't going to do it.
No, it's even if she would have won, I didn't pay attention to that at all. To be honest, Jeff, I've been like not paying attention. The most political thing I've done, and I don't mean this, if we have some time to talk about it, most political thing I've been doing is playing Arc Raiders.
Yeah,
that is the most political that game. And we'll talk about real stuff, and we have time. We'll go back and I need to. Well, okay, you want to do this now? Okay, cool. Because that's what I was going to talk about if we weren't going to do the show tonight. That game is it's the tree in Star Wars. That's the cave of Dagobah.
Can you just lay out what Arc Raiders is?
Okay,
for the folks that are watching.
Okay, so
I actually don't even know. I haven't played it yet.
I'll lay it down to you, and we need to play it because if you're playing anything else right now, you're wrong. It's the most unintentionally.
Does it work on Steam Deck?
It might. It's really not graphically intensive, but you need good audio. We'll get into that. You need to be able to hear. It's one of those games. If you're deaf, sorry for you, bro. So my thing is, I was going to say that it is. If you remember Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back, when Yoda said, when Luke is like, "What's in the cave?" and Yoda's like, "It's whatever you take with you." It's like you don't need your lightsaber in there, and he takes it anyway. That game is a mirror. It's that cave. It is a mirror into your own soul. So what it is, it's a mixing of the Terminator, Mad Max, and like a couple of like the Running Man.
And it's a multiplayer game.
Yeah. So how the story goes, AI has taken over the earth.
Okay.
It's pushed. It's like Terminator shit, like Skynet. There's killer drugs. It's honest to God, I'm getting ahead of myself. Humanity has been pushed underground. You live in like tunnels. My cats are going crazy. You live in tunnels. That's where humanity survives. To go get supplies, people have to go up top and raid the old earth for supplies and make it back down underground. Now,
it's a survival type game.
Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't have survival aspects. You're not building. You do collect stuff and break
it down. It's not like Rust.
Yeah, it's not like Rust, but it is like Rust. I'll describe it. So I'll get into it. So the thing about it, so you go up and you get stuff and you come back down in your hole. Honest to God, I'm not trying to be flippant. And I don't think the developers thought of this. First 20 minutes I play, I was like, oh, this is a Gaza simulator. Okay. Because you just hear killer drones all around you. You're hiding from drones. You're hiding from like robot tanks and all kinds of other stuff that's trying to kill you, right? So you go, I laid out the premise. Here's the thing. Now, here's why it gets interesting is because underground, where all the humans have to live, everybody's like, oh, we're against the robots. We have to go do the road. And we're all from these different little cities that are connected by tunnels underground. And it's like, it's supposed to be Italy, but you're all connected in these little cities. And everybody goes up to get their stuff. You're a raider. The robots they're ARC. That's why it's called ARC Raiders. You go up and you try to survive and not get killed by the ARC, and then you go back down. Now, underground, everybody's, hunky-dory, humanity's united. We've got to make sure we all survive, right? When you get to the surface, though, anything goes, like the Running Man. So, because the idea is you're all from these different cities and there's only so much loot and you have to take the loot back. So our goals are not always going to align. So friendly fire's always on. It's full loot PvP. When you kill somebody in that game, you take all of their shit and and now it's yours. And now you have to try to escape and go back. And so you're being hunted by the robots and other players. But that doesn't mean that every player in that game is just trying to kill.
No.
Because like real life, socialism and communism is OP. It's overpowered. So if people can just put aside their bullshit and their greed and work together, then everybody can get what they need. But if people are like want to step outside of societal norms and just start randomly killing people because they're psychopaths, then nobody can get what they need. Yeah, you might get lucky
and screw it up for everybody.
You don't even know if the guy you killed is going to have anything good on them. They might not. But if you all work together, everybody, because let's say 20 people are in a map at a time. Let's say you're the baddest mofo that's ever played the game. You're just Shroud, you're Ninja, you're just amazing at this game. And you kill the whole server. You killed 19 other people. You're the last man standing. Great. You can take whatever they have, but you can't carry it all out. So it's waste. So it's like you only have a limited amount of supply stuff you can carry back. So you can't fully trust anybody, but you can't go around and be a psychopath and try to advance either. So what it's doing is it's showing you, like, without beating you over the head, that libertarianism is this thing of like, oh, I'm a rugged individual. Well, that's great.
Sovereign citizen.
Yeah, I'm a rugged individual. Don't get in my way. And I'll just take survival of the fittest. Well, that's great because one, there's always going to be a bigger fish, a guy with a better gun, a guy who can play the game better than you, who's going to eventually kill you and take your stuff. Or again, even if you're the best, you can't take all of it with you. So the best thing is to cooperate. So what people have been doing is they've just been naturally cooperating. People will run up on each other, yell friendly, friendly, friendly. ask if they need help, and they'll move on. Now, you can't trust everybody, but you really can't trust. You can't fully trust because at any moment they can kill you. But the answer to that, which I have found, or other people have been like, okay, we're all playing differently. Like we're not in a quote unquote team, but they're meeting up and they're saying, hey, friendly. And they're saying, hey, let's move together and get the stuff that we need and get out. So if you get 6, 7 people doing that, all running together in a pack, pretty much it'll shoo away the psychopaths, because the psychopaths are one-offs trying to just kill for fun.
Yeah.
And they can't do that because they see 6 people. They know it's a gunfight. They can't win because 6, 7 people are running up on them.
How many?
And yeah, like 6 or 7. Like that's usually like a group that like I'll run in that we've all just met spontaneously somewhere, and we're just picking up more people as we go.
Mm-hmm.
And I see 6, 7, 6, 7. Got you. So
you did that one, not me.
The thing is about the psychopaths, they can never win if the people who want to form a real civilization and be and do gay space communism are band together and hold the line. They can't win because they can't even cooperate with other psychopaths because they're psychopaths.
Yeah.
And this game is just people, like, you go online and people are either like loving this game and they're like, oh my God, this is the stories I have, the people I've met. This is so interesting. It's such a great look into like human nature and how society forms. And that's the first thing I thought of when like I was playing last night and a bunch of us just naturally formed together and said, hey, let's figure this out, get our loot and get out. And it'll be a lot easier because people won't be able to pick us off. I'm like, this is what our evolutionary ancestors did. There were so many different species of hominids. The Neanderthals are just one, and the Cro-Magnon, that were bigger, stronger, more aggressive than we are. But at some point, we just said, hey, monkeys strong together. Mm-hmm. And we just banded together and we shooed them off, and they refused to cooperate even with each other. So they were no longer the dominant species and died out. Again, socialism is overpowered. It's an overpowered strategy. And that's what this game is showing. It's so crazy.
It's a necessary part of any kind of historical civilization. Like there is going to be inequality, but there has to be some kind of shared stakes, some shared community, some shared, I hate to say identity, but there needs to be shared something,
Mm-hmm. And like, you'll go online and people are like, I love this game. Oh my God, the story. And that's me. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. Every time I'm in there, it's a fresh game because I'm meeting completely new people. The stories that I have in here can't be written because they're all just like, they're all emergent and they're all just spontaneous. The things that happen, you have to like change on a whim. And then the people who are like, I hate this game. It's boring. It sucks. The streamers, there are always people out there just to be like, I'm trying to get into a gunfight. I'm trying to find people to kill. And I'm like, that's not the point. Like, that's not the point of the game. And that's why you're having a bad time. Yeah. And because most people are mic'd up in that game. And when you down somebody, you have to see them like crawl around and bleed out. I have like 8 player kills in that game. Only 3 of them felt good. Mm-hmm. Like legit, like 3 of them felt good because it was a duo that tried to kill me, and I turned on them and killed them both. And another guy who tried to kill me first. The other 6 felt terrible. And I'm like, this is how it should feel. Like, I should not feel good. And I'm not saying if you play I play Call of Duty, I play all kind of competitive games, but there's a difference between like we're competing in a space to where like if somebody's just trying to survive, and you come up behind them and you shoot them in the back of their head defensively, like that should not feel good. And and the guy can still talk. He's like, man, why'd you do that? I didn't even have anything good, blah, blah, blah. And you feel like a piece of shit. Mm-hmm. And then I've been playing it with guys from work here in New Orleans, and it really, really dawned on me. One of my work dudes is like, he was talking to another dude. He goes, man, remember we had to do this for real after Katrina, dog? You remember that? And I was like, damn. I'm like, that hit like on a whole nother level. Hearing him tell Katrina stories. Like, honest to God, it's to the point where I like want to like have him play the game with me and have him just tell those stories and put that online because it's like that important. But man, it's just like this game is such a look into like, if you want to call it the human psyche, civilization, the human soul, if you want to call it a soul, it will expose exactly who you are real quick. And it's like, I wanted to play the game and be a piece, because I'm like, I'm gonna be a piece of shit. I'm gonna be a villain. I'm just gonna go around, and I'm like, I'm not having fun. I'm not having fun doing this. So I'm just gonna hold the line, because it got to the point where it's like, if I can't hold the line in a video game where nothing matters, like, how can I, like, when it's time for me to hold the line in like real society, how am I gonna do that? So it's like,
there has been also, and I know this is different, but like I've noticed this when they started having these games with sort of the morality assignations to it. I'm thinking of, like, you know, the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and the Mass Effect and even like Undertale. And like, you know, when you're young and you're a teenager, it's like, I'm gonna be the bad guy, I'm gonna be a badass, I'm gonna kill everybody or whatever. And then like now, I don't know what it is. Maybe I just went soft or whatever, but like, it's literally not fun to play games like that.
It's not fun. It's not fun. I am nicer in video games than I am in my real life, and I think it's because, like, in my real life,
you're a sweetie IRL.
Well, no, I mean, like, in my real life, I can understand to be like, okay, like, resources are limited, like, this is real. At some point I have to look out for me and mine. Sure. But like in a video game, I'm like, resources literally aren't limited. So it's like, why would I act like this? And then let's see. I wanted to show. So Looney Tunes 9000 says, I'm sorry, isn't Call of Duty played by MAGA idiots? Call of Duty is played by everybody. It's not, it's played by liberals. It's a lot of it's played by like sports guys, like guys who buy 3 video games a year. They buy NBA 2K, they buy John Madden football, and then they buy Call of Duty. Call of Duty is more of a, and they've even marketed it as this. It's more of a social platform, like and it has been for a long time, just like Fortnite is, to where it's just like that. It's the bar. It's where guys who are like too old to go to the bar after work or don't want to do that, they're hanging out with their work dudes or the college dudes after class or after work. But the game is evil because it's like
story mode.
It's, if you want to know the future, like, play some Call of Duty games, because these games are greenlit by the American military. That's how they get the realism. That's how they get because they're just used as recruiting tools. And it'll tell you, like, the last Call of Duty a couple years ago, not the last one, like 3 ago, they did a whole thing about like invading Mexico and doing like drone strikes and shit in Mexico. And I'm like, oh, and then Trump gets reelected, and all of a sudden they want to, like, you know, we're talking about that kind of stuff. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been playing that yet, but maybe I'm gonna have to pick it up. I've been mostly playing Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Okay, it's just fun to me. It's fun stuff. But that sounds fun too.
No, Arc Raiders is so cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so that's been what's been the most of your attention these days. You're not really paying attention to the news or any of that kind of stuff.
To be honest, like, I'm just so like, and this is, I'm not cooler than anybody else or anything, but I'm just so deflated on
riding it out. You know, you're like riding out a hurricane for 4 years.
I'm just so deflated by electoral politics, and it's like, unless something pops off, like, I just don't see how things are going to change. And like, I don't know. I don't want to get this space in trouble or say something that's like against like YouTube TOS, but I think you'll know what I'm putting down, and I'm not advocating for anything, but it's just, I'm asking questions, because I remember Noam Chomsky used to say, like, oh, like, we can't have violence, you know, coming from the left because the state has a monopoly on violence. And I'm like, I believe, like, that makes complete sense. That makes material sense. But then I look at like the violence that has happened, and like,
it's never ending. It's all going.
No, I mean stuff like Charlie Kirk, and I mean stuff like the National Guard troopers getting killed by a CIA asset, you know, PTSD CIA asset. And I'm like, it feels like the real psyop is like the American government is, you know, we've been led to believe the American government is like efficient in just like turning tragedy into opportunity. And I'm like, I don't want to say disappointed. I want to say pleasantly surprised that like how fast the Charlie Kirk stuff fizzled out. How fast the National Guard troopers getting killed, which Trump got them killed. because I mean, let's be real about it. This isn't even like why are the National Guard on the street right now? Because Trump wanted to play a game and he wanted to flex. So it's like, if you want to point the fingers at who got those kids killed, it's Trump. They should have never been there to begin with. Mm-hmm. So when you bring the military on the street, don't be surprised when military stuff happens.
Yeah, it's a real F around find out moment.
Yeah,
right?
he got him killed 100%. Yeah. But it's just, I'm surprised at how lackluster and how weak they've been in like using this as an opportunity to further their goals. It's like as soon as some violence happens, it's like they back away from it in a way that I mean, thank God. I don't want the other end, but it seems like
putting a lid on it pretty quick.
They back away from it in a way that I just didn't expect.
Yeah.
I really expect them to just go crazy.
I think that it's not going to be, well, eventually there will be, and it wasn't Charlie Kirk, it wasn't these two National Guards, but we are seeing at least some of the, like they're always the right, and also parts of the sort of like center national security apparatus blob, the those kind of folks, they're going to kind of always put at least a little bit of a lid on it, but also kind of move the line a little bit more and more towards the repressive authoritarianism, which I think we are going to continue to see, but we're not seeing it like in a real sense. What we haven't seen though is like the 9/11 moment where all of a sudden everything is different. We haven't gotten to that, even though we've just gotten used to it. We've gotten
that's what I was going to say. We're desensitized.
Remember when a school shooting was something that people cared about, and like people were like, "Oh no, we got to do something about school shootings." Now they happen all the time, probably more than ever. I'm not looking at the numbers, but I know that there aren't less school shootings than there were 10, 15 years ago, and it's just sort of like faded into the background. It's just a part of the sort of barbarity of the society that we currently live in. And like, I think this is just a part of it. Like, it's ratcheting up, not in the sense that like, all of a sudden we're going to have, the lid blow off the state and we're going to be changing everything up. And now it's going to be, full blown, anything goes revolution type stuff. It's more of that kind of violence becomes normal, and we're just get used to it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. When it comes to government, when it comes to murdering fishing boat drivers or fishing boats in outside of Venezuela in international waters where it's absolutely legal to do this, and then also like coming back and double tapping any survivors, like they're gonna complain and whine and distance themselves about it. But
that's what I'm saying. I don't understand. Like,
the thing is that like they're not gonna stop doing it. They're gonna continue doing it, and they're gonna turn up the heat. And that's my point. Like sure, they're gonna like try and act individually to sort of like, turn up that dial, turn up the heat slowly, but they don't want to be the ones that have like been credited with doing it, because they are not really about that project, or they're scared to be associated with it in such a direct way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, Helen Moreno sucks. But yeah, yeah, she sucks. 100%. She's not.
Wait, yeah. Even though Helena Moreno, because our new mayor is a Democrat, do you think she'll be corrupt? I mean, like, Didi was a Democrat.
Yeah, she sucks. She's not going. She's not going to not nationalize, but she's not going to municipalize energy, which that's the thing she ran on, and she's absolutely not going to do that.
Wait,
but
oh man, I'm so.
But yeah, that's the thing. I'm just really, having a hard time. Not having a hard time, just like emotionally. It's just like I just don't understand it. Like,
there's a disconnect.
You're doing the thing. Like, what rule book are these people playing by? Because it's like the thing. Everybody's like, when Charlie Kirk got murked, everybody's like, the dumbest guy is like, oh, you're gonna see now, blah blah blah, and then like, nah,
we are Charlie Kirk.
It's like. And for Pete Hegseth to be out here, be like, kill them all, let God sort them out, kill every Venezuelan fisherman in international waters, and for them to be like, well, I didn't say that. I'm like, what is this, dog? Like,
Well,
to quote Mobb Deep, ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. Like,
well,
you've got the power. Like, why are you being weird about this? Like, we kill people all the time, everywhere.
It's less about the individuals that are going to be, involved in it and their reputation and things like that, and it's more about advancing the project. So, is America and is American foreign policy more fascist than it is without Pete Hegseth, for example? Absolutely, it is. Now, he himself is going to act within the same liberal bubble that everybody else is. It's the old chestnut of, like, in a liberal society, everybody's a liberal. The liberalism is the water in the fish tank, and they're going to function throughout those ways and get away with what they can to advance their project, but they still have to sort of operate under and along those mores. You see that from Zoran Mamdani himself too all the time, just kind of like backing off of things like, abolish the police and stuff like that. Or, he's not just sort of like in playing La Marseillaise or any of the Soviet national anthem or the Internationale, in New York City on his election. He can't really do that because you have to operate in such a way that, Joe Schmo, who doesn't pay attention to this kind of stuff, doesn't think you're that weird or that much more weird than anybody else on there,
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember who coined it, but it was like that BBC documentary guy. You can watch. It's like a 12-hour documentary. So if you're bored at work and want to steal some time, hypernormalization, where he talks about the fall. Yes. Like, I think that's where we're at.
Adam Curtis is right. Yes,
it's like nobody at work, nobody on the street cares or even talk about this like imminent like warfare in Venezuela, but also they're not sending their kids. They're not sending their kids to the recruiting station to look for a job either.
Yeah. And in fact,
people are just like, I don't care either way. It's not even that they don't care. It's like, well, what can I do? Like, all I can do is just like, we marched during the Iraq war. I'm old enough to remember that. And like, nobody, that didn't stop anybody. So it's like, what can we do? Like, what can we do besides what should have been done after those kids got killed in Kent State, which TOS we cannot talk about.
Well, I will say this too. Super last thing on this, like when it comes to like even liberal institutions, not just in the United States but internationally, like, do you think it is a coincidence that the opposition leader Machado in Venezuela was awarded the Nobel Prize, and then much to the joy of liberals who are like, hooray, a girl boss who's against a repressive state, totalitarian state in Venezuela, quotes with my fingers obviously, is denying Trump the Nobel Prize. And then next thing you know, as soon as that happened, is the fixation of Trump's administration was essentially to target Venezuela for regime change. It was just like definitely not a coincidence.
No, 100%. I mean, and I don't know. I think the only thing, because why they're so hot on just regime change and not actual warfare, and they're like threatening warfare in Venezuela, is because Maduro could be like, well, of course I'll just turn this into a Pyrrhic victory. Like, I'll just torch every single oil field. Because that's the whole reason you care about Venezuela is because of the oil. And then also like to show like, the hypernormalization of it all. China and Russia buy so much oil from Venezuela, especially Russia now, because Europe won't sell them oil. And they're not saying anything about this either, which is like, that should be one of the things, is like, they should be a bulwark and be like, hey, leave our gas station alone. But they're like, they don't want that kind of smoke either, especially China. They're not about any of that.
No, they want to continue. They want business to hum along. They want
exactly
to be chill. They don't want to, they might have their own sort of like internal issues where they'll, take out parts of their own like minority populations or whatever.
Yeah.
And they want to do that. They'll do that in the name of stability, essentially. They'll do that in the name of maintaining their program, which is not different than the West. I mean, it just straight up isn't. It's just, but what is different is that the way that they run their society is broadly, at least, for the broader base of society, much less. I mean, much more so than the West, which is again essentially just a Ponzi scheme to make the wealthiest people on Earth even more wealthy, and workers can just get screwed all the time.
Yeah,
I got no hearts in my eyes for China, but I can definitely understand that they have a much more functionally organized society than the States do. You know what I mean?
Well, they just understand that, like, this is my theory on their theory of government, is that they understand that without actual the history of China, there's been dynasty after dynasty, invasions by Japan. They understand without consent, like the state, they cannot build walls higher than the poorest can climb. So they understood there's the fear of people actually rising up against their government. So now they actually have to do for those people. And also they understand that, when a millionaire or a billionaire gets out of line in China, well, then that's a social pressure release
problem for all of them.
You put a bullet in the back of one of their heads, and then they can just blame it on, they can rightly blame, whatever problem that is on the millionaire or billionaire, rightly so.
And not just that, all the other millionaires and billionaires see that stuff happen, and they're like, "Oh, that couldn't be me." In America, you get Elon Musk. You know what I mean? Like, he would make it 5 minutes in China before he ended up in a river or something.
Yeah, he would just get a bullet in the back of his brain. He'd be one of those execution vans or something. Yeah, he'd be done with it. And they just understand that that's a pressure valve. Like, yeah. So, when people are like in the streets and like tearing shit up in China, it's never directed at the government. It's always directed as the government has to do something about X.
Yeah.
Or we will tear shit up. And so that's just a release valve for them. I completely, I'm down with it. I mean, it's a lot better than the system we have here. I much rather live in a place where I know where the lines are than this fake fucking bullshit matrix, that we call a country here, where it's like, they tell you one thing and then, obviously that's not the case.
Well, yeah. Again, you allegedly have the right to like speech in this country, but also you can get thrown into a prison for exercising those rights. Or
yeah,
you can...
I know people who got fired for putting Charlie Kirk quotes on fucking Boomer Book.
Yeah.
What are we talking? What is this freedom of speech we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, like, corporations are not, entities of the government, but it's just. But also,
I mean, yes, they are. I mean, like, let's not like.
Okay, fair enough.
I would say that they are, because they receive so much subsidies from the government and there's so many contracts that are made between the government and these corporations that they're not part of the government in name only. Like SpaceX, that's a part of the government essentially, only organized in such a way to make Elon Musk rich. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're 100% right. Like, they're just, these corporations are just subsidized, but it's just interesting to me that, I don't know, man. Like, it's interesting to me that we're just, as a population, we just have so much apathy, and I'm guilty of that too. Like, why aren't I out there like fighting with ICE agents right now? Because I think it would just be by myself and wouldn't do any good. What good would it do? So I think everybody has that same thing, but it's just like, we have apathy in both directions. Like, American jingoism is absolutely dead, but now we're just in a place where we don't even think we can be exceptional. Like, we can't even, like, we're like, oh, this is America. You just can't have nice things here.
America is exceptionally bad.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Exceptionalism still exists. It's just that the exception is that America sucks.
It's just so interesting, dude. I just don't. Yeah, it's just the apathy is killing me, and I just don't know what's gonna rise out of that apathy. Is it just going to be just what we're doing now, just more status quo? Is it going to be is there going to be some kind of actual populist left movement when neoliberalism like falls all over itself again? And it's like, what's the point? Like, go back to my electoral democracy thing. You've got Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries saying, well, we're not going to even investigate if we win the midterms. We're not even going to investigate Pete Hegseth at all. And I'm like, then what is the point of any of this?
Why do you exist?
Yeah, why do you exist? Why do you exist? Like, why do I care? Like, why Why am I going to waste my life? I got Arc Raiders to play, bro. Why am I going to waste my life energy? I don't even have to stand in line to vote. Why am I going to go to a polling place to vote for any of y'all?
I'll say this too. This is again, there have been periods in our history where not only would there be a challenge to this kind of behavior, not super often, obviously, but like it would be somewhat bipartisan, at least. It would at least be investigated. Not to historicize or romanticize the past or whatever, but it really, when you look at something like especially post 9/11, I mean, you remember Obama essentially, I mean, he didn't endorse necessarily, but he essentially signed off on basically all of the things that George W. Bush did when he started 2 wars.
That's what I was going to say too.
Implement a torture regime or torture regime.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say too. Before it left my head, is like, okay, Pete Hegseth is out here backpedaling about, not even doing war crimes, just doing crime, murdering people in Venezuela. That he backpedaled. But like Obama, liberal ass, weak ass, bitch made ass, Obama, out here violating the Constitution, violating American law, not even international law, American law, illegally drone striking American citizens. He was like, yeah, I did that. And here's why.
Yeah. He implemented an entire assassination regime.
How are you more bitch than Obama, dog? I don't understand this. Aren't you the tough guy? Aren't you the fucking Fox News guy? Aren't you badass? How are you more bitch made than Obama?
I mean,
I don't understand this.
He just is. I mean, like, I don't know what to tell you. He's just bitch made.
He is. Like, what? Like, you're just weak, dog. Like, when the Reichstag fire happened, Hitler wasn't like him and Han asking for unity.
Oh, guys, yes.
He was like, hey, guys, we should all... He wasn't concerned who was on his team or not. He was concerned with who had the guns and who was in the street.
Yeah. How can we capitalize on this situation?
It just blows my mind how, like... And I'm glad. I'm so happy that it's not like that. But I'm just... This strain of fascism is just neutered.
Weird. Yeah.
It's so weak. Thank God.
You brought up a question earlier of like how the left movement can, essentially build up. And again, that's something that needs to be constructed through. And I say it all the time. We need to build up our union density. We need to have organizations like, be it DSA or whatever your flavor is of what it is that is organization, right? If it's not DSA, it could be something else, but there has to be some kind of working class institutions, be it unions, be it churches, be it something that holds it all together. When people are on this, I mean, all the time, you'll see like, we need to have a general strike or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I do agree with that. But then like, what is the mechanism that organizes that? Who's in charge here? What is the process for making this happen? Because if you don't have at least a plan to make that happen and buy-in from enough people to actually build that critical mass that can actually shut down the entire economy for extended periods of time, so much to the point where the capitalists will say, uncle, if you don't have a plan to get there, and it's got to be a real, concrete, tangible plan that includes real organizations that do exist, not ones that exist in hypothetical spaces of your mind or whatever. How do you take things that are real and turn it into that? And that's the task, that's the task that, a lot of the online leftists that you like to see, who like to call for a general strike or whatever. Did I just say general?
You did. I was going to let it go.
General strike.
I let it go.
General strike. But it's way easier to just shout it on Twitter. It's just when you don't see a plan to actually make it happen. And it's sad that people kind of get this way, but like, if you don't see a plan to actually make it happen, if you don't see a pathway to actually making it happen, you just yell at people on Twitter to make you feel good.
Well, okay, so here's the other side of the argument. And I ran into this IRL out in the street. I ran into an actual New York carpetbagger who moved here because it's so cheap. An abundance guy.
Oh, yeah.
He works for like Ezra Klein. And he was trying to be like, oh, we need like, and he's like, he's like, "Are you political?" And we had a whole thing. He found out, we got a podcast, and he's like, "Oh, we should." I'm like, "Absolutely not."
I hope you're listening.
I'm like, "Absolutely not." But like, I want to hear your world. I want to hear your theory of change. And he said that same thing that you just said. But my retort to that is, and I told him straight up, I said, I don't trust you. I don't think that I think that your whole idea is like having to need a plan for every single damn thing. I trust you, Jeff, but I'm saying this abundance guy can go jump into Mississippi. Like, I'm like, for you're trying to meeting people to death. So nothing ever gets done. Well, and so instead of moving in any direction, you just want to keep going on and paralyze people. Because I said, and here's the thing, I said, when we have to decide, when we want to kill fishermen and call them narcotics drug runners in Venezuela, that just gets done. When we want to go drone strike Americans under what Obama did, that just gets done. When we want to fund a genocide, that just gets done. Nobody's asking where the money's coming from. Nobody's asking what needs to be cut, what programs need to be cut so this can be funded. It just gets done. So if we have that same energy for things that actually help Americans, we'd be in a much better place instead of just sitting here and having death by committee. That's my retort to what you just said.
Well, sure. And to what I would just say is that these things are possible. They can be built up, and it is going to take a certain amount of time. I mean, we did at least get a step down the road with Zoran. Now, is that going to actually be something or not? We'll see. But I mean, again, they have organization, they have money, we don't. You know
and this is my thing about Zoran Mondani. Like, if he was sitting here, I'd be like, I would tell him to his face, I'm so glad you won. I like, you're cool. You're a cool person. And like, blah, 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 blah. I trust you, whatever, but I don't trust the political system that you're involved with. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't even be involved with it. But what my point is that I think of, if he was in front of me, I would say, I think of you the same way that Chuds think of Trump. You make people mad and you make people wet themselves. I like that.
Yeah. Well, cool. I mean, I like that too.
So you make all the bad people cry. Therefore, I'm down with it.
I will say this: there's a difference in intentionality with Zoran. I mean, and you can tell that this was the case when he went to maybe it wasn't, but like when he went to the White House and he was actually like had this extremely positive whatever with Trump. Like, it did piss off all the weird, freak people, but like, the whole point of it, the whole objective was to essentially say, hey, we're trying to get this affordability agenda through, and that I think made him look very serious in terms of how things are, and also made Trump look like he just like was in love with Zoran or whatever.
I have never seen. That was so weird.
It was so weird.
I don't know if we talked about it. I can't remember. The days were running together. But like, I have never. I'd like to think of myself as a layman's historian. I know a little. I know a little bit more than the guy who just watches 9-hour AI made Roman history documentaries on YouTube, right? But like, I have never seen somebody have to like come to the king's court, and then like, not only did he not kiss the ring, like his ring got kissed.
Yeah.
Like, I'd have to really look and see, like, has anything like that ever even happened in history? That's so weird.
And you have to ask yourself the question why that happened. It's not just that Zoran is so personally charming or whatever, or he flattered Trump or said the things that Trump wanted to hear behind closed doors or anything like that. There is actually a genuine, I think, understanding by Trump, at least, that Zoran has sauce. You see what I'm saying? He's got like motion. He's got actually the ability to build a political movement. And like, obviously this stuff is going to break down when it comes down to like, I mean, it's already happening. They already put ICE in New York City, and they're already making statements about Zoran's talking about individual people who were attacked by ICE, which is actually very good because it puts a face to a lot of the violence that's being put forward, which I think is a good thing. But like, the whole reason that for that insane like Twilight Zone press conference that we saw was essentially a feeling out process. You see what I mean? It was almost like all right, this guy right here is at least legitimate. And, you know, if I'm going to fuck with him and come at him at his neck right now, I'm going to have problems, more problems than he is. I'm going to look like the petty one. I'm going to look like the weak loser. And so he instead just decided to like gaze at that picture of him like looking up into Zoran's
That's so
eyes.
crazy.
That is going to be in history books one day.
That's
it's so weird
crazy,
thinking that.
let me since we're like, okay, we got like 9 minutes left. Let me ask you this, since we're in full, like I feel like we're at the, like with this kind of conversation where we're like theory crafting, I feel like we're 15 years ago doing a Game of Thrones post episode Sunday night. Like, why was it written like this? I don't understand. So I just wonder, and like none of us will ever know this for sure. Is there a world, do you think, that Donald Trump just goes, I see what the problem is. I see where my lane is. Instead of running for the Republican primary, he runs in the Democratic primary, he'll easily defeat Hillary Clinton and just enacts gay space communism, but just himself as like Mao Zedong, like himself as the God King dictator. Because I'm just like, the guy just wants the chair. He doesn't really, but is the reason that he did that is he is who he is because like a real comparison to Adolf Hitler, the guy gets compared to Hitler all the time, but a real comparison to Hitler is he just couldn't let his own race. He couldn't get out of the way of his own racism.
Trump is a Broadway loving lib. Like that's just who he is. He was rejected by, like, this is where a lot of his, you know, personality and his personal sort of like ennui comes from, is that he was always sort of like an outcast in like New York and Washington political and social scenes, right? He was always sort of cast out because of that new money thing that you talked about earlier. So, and I mean, really, when you think about it, you know, the Democrats are very much a party of the wealthy. They're very much a party of billionaires. I mean, no less than the Republicans are, or maybe, you know, to extents of like individuals or whatever. But like Trump himself doesn't really have any politics. He doesn't believe in any of this stuff. He just wants the Trump brand to be on top. So like, could the possibility of like lib Trump or gay space communism Trump or whatever that you say, like, is that a possibility? I think it's like in the abstract, yes, but in terms of functionally getting to that place, it's a lot less likely because the Democratic Party is way more structured to resist any kind of takeover than the Republican Party is.
You're right.
It's a lot more Wild West than the Republicans. They have a strong establishment, but their establishment is a lot like less. It's actually kind of, and you know, flame me in the chat if you want. It's a lot more sort of meritocratic. Like, you earn your stuff and you move on up.
No, you're right. You're right.
Like, if you're 100-year-old like guy with throat cancer, you get the seat on the Judiciary Committee over AOC, who's your biggest fundraiser and your biggest rising star. Like it's just a more opportunity-rich environment on the right, because they actually do want to. They actually are in it to win it, essentially.
No, you're 100% right. And I didn't think of that until you told me that, because if the Republicans, like, once Trump got critical mass and he couldn't be like, he had not the party behind, he never had the party. He had the party's base. If he became unstoppable, to where like Bernie had the base and it still was like, no, we're going to systematically shut you out.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, even if every single Democratic voter wanted to vote for Bernie, like, and like they tried to do that with Obama, but they couldn't because Obama got the banks behind him.
Yeah.
That's when things really turned and he was able to take out Hillary.
Go ahead. Sort of critically also, when it comes to Bernie, they kind of pegged him for the good soldier that he would be, and he would bow his head and bend the knee and take the L. Wanda says, as a native New Yorker, I can tell you Orange Man sees Zoran as the ultimate New York celebrity, which Trump respects more than anyone. Trump is a New Yorker, an ugly one who has never been accepted by any old New York money. So yeah, I agree with you, and that is exactly right.
That's so interesting. Just to clarify my like Hitler comparison, I don't mean that in an emotional way. I mean like in an actual like when the Nazis invaded USSR, they were seen as liberators and instead of just like rolling with that and being like, oh, okay, cool. But you know, they started
to circle entire like cities and killing everyone.
They were like, oh, actually you are all subhuman.
Yeah.
And then so they're like, so pinned between, you know, Stalin being like not one step back, and then Hitler's like, we're going to kill all of you.
Yeah.
They chose not one step back and won. So it's like, it's that's what I mean by the comparison to Hitler there. But if he just couldn't get out of the way of his own racism. So weird. Like, but yeah, that, I mean, I find that like a fascinating, I don't know. I think it's in my head because at work today, I had all these kind of what ifs. Like I had The Godfather playing. Godfather's free on YouTube. So I watched like I had like 1 and 2 playing in the background when I was like doing office work today. But I was like, this interesting, like kind of, you know, King's Court political theater thing going on. And it's like, it just makes the current White House and the current administration just make no sense to me, to where Trump will sit there and call, you know, Somalians like, you know, literal subhuman creatures that have to, that at a minimum, I'm being kind to you by saying I should kick you out of the country just for being Somali. And on the other end of that, you've got that at the top, but then underneath him, you've got all these like kind of just like neoconservative weak ass libs who are just like, I didn't call in a strike on fishermen, and if I did, it was good, but I didn't. It was this other guy, and like, bro, you are not built for this.
Yeah.
You're not built for evil. Go sit down.
Well, and again, like that is the case of Trump being like his administration, at least exit. He's not some like hardcore badass, like old sword general. He's a Fox News TV guy, right? Kash Patel is not some sort of like a J. Edgar Hoover type figure as he sits in charge of the FBI. He was a podcaster. You know what I mean? Like he's sort of populated his administration with people that that talk about him good on media, who are like suck his dick on media. You know, it is really crazy just seeing like you thought the first Trump administration was reality TV. Oh, buddy, this one is crazy. Like super duper reality TV. It's nutty. We do got to jump though.
Yeah, we got to go. So it's been fun. You can check out Good Morning Comrade anywhere you can download podcasts. That's where we're at. I am on Twitch whenever I feel like it. Maybe I'll Twitch some, I don't know, at Lumin Cast on Twitch. Whenever I feel like it, maybe I'll play some Arc Raiders. Also Lumin on YouTube. Anything, Lumin, anything you want to pump, Jeff, while we're here?
Follow me on Twitter at Eminent Prof.
Oh, yeah, here on that X.
On the other one too, the bird, the Blue Sky, the Butterfly app. But like mostly listen to GMC. Follow us on Twitch and YouTube. You can catch all of our shows there and all the podcast stuff. And if you're in the New Orleans area,
do not play with Nazis if you're in the New Orleans area.
Yeah, that, and then also listen to Good Morning Comrade, WHIVLP New Orleans FM. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.